Somebody wants to walk down that aisle. Yep.
I didn't say the right one wasn't in there. I just said there was an extra. Yeah. Like, well, the wrong one is in there, but the right one is too. Well, why are they? I was like, I'm pretty sure I read the whole agreement myself.
Oh, but
Three, two, one, go.
I'll ask Councilman Foley to lead
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to the February 12th, 2024 City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Winston,
Here.
Carlstrom, here. Davis,
Here.
Henshin,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Holly,
Here.
Vogel,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Thornton,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Rush.
Here. Thank you. First agenda item we have tonight is the swearing in of an officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, thanks for having me tonight. This is a very special night. Maybe once a year we get the opportunity to swear in a new officer. And seems like over the last 2 years we've been doing this quite a bit. We've been filling a lot of vacancies. Stephen, can you come on up here? Tonight we want to recognize in front of about half of our department, the swearing in of Officer Miguel Steven Galeana. He's actually been with us for about 3 years. He started out as a police service officer in our jail, and about a year ago now, he tested for entry-level police officer, and he came out in the top 3, and we picked him up. We are really looking forward to what he brings to the city of Hoq. He's a very personable guy, knows a lot of people in the community, and we're anxious to see where he goes from here. This will be a long-term, hopefully 30-year officer that's going to be serving you guys well into the future. Steven, do you have anybody here that you'd like to recognize?
Yeah, I have my family, my mom, my dad, my second mother. I have my friends, my brother, and my sister over there.
All right, kind of proud of Steven, as we all are. All right, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sir, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. We give you the cheater chart, so go ahead and read it. I, and then state your name.
I, Miguel Steven Galeana,
Solemnly affirm to uphold and enforce the laws of the United States of America,
solemnly affirm to uphold and enforce the laws of the United States of America,
the state of Washington, Grace Harbor County, and the city of Hoq,
the state of Washington, Grace Harbor County, and the city of Hoq,
in my capacity as a sworn police officer.
in my capacity as a sworn police officer.
I hereby pledge to protect the lives and property of all citizens
I hereby pledge to protect lives and property of all citizens,
as I uphold the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of Washington.
as I uphold the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of Washington.
I will honestly and faithfully use the police powers entrusted to me
I will honestly and faithfully use the police powers entrusted to me
for the benefit of the community.
for the benefit of the community.
I will strive to fulfill our department mission and department values to the best of my ability.
I will strive to fulfill our department mission and department values to the best of my ability.
I understand and agree to abide by the law enforcement code of conduct.
I understand and agree to abide by the law enforcement code of conduct.
Congratulations, welcome to the
Anything you want to say?
Would like to thank everyone here for the opportunity and giving me this opportunity. This has been a long dream for me, taking a lot of hard work, and it's finally great that I'm here. So, thank you.
I love doing that. One of the favorite things you get to do as a mayor. Great. Next on the agenda tonight, feel free to leave if you have other business tonight, and we were here just for support. We'll give you a minute. Yeah. So, okay, now we're going to move on to communications, and we do have a presentation by Grace Harbor Conservation District regarding an Adopt the Rain program. Do you need any computer support tonight, or you guys good?
Yep, we'll be all right. So
Good.
this audience and our today.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just make it brief. It's hard to follow that. To be honest with you. But my name's David Marcel. I'm the assistant district manager for Grace Harbor and Pacific Conservation Districts. There's a couple new council faces I see in the audience, so I'll just be brief on this and I'll get Alexander's more. But basically, we're a non-regulatory, keyword non-regulatory government entity. We write grants in support of natural resource projects and finding solutions for those. So one of our keystone projects is located just north of that photo on the West Fork Opium River. we did, I don't know, 180 acres of tidal restoration on wetlands and river systems, removing 9 culverts from that system up there, the old Folsom log dump. So that's our tie to Hoqium as of late. But we're here today to really start to talk about, now that we've been kind of into the city, what we can bring practically on the ground through education, outreach, and some low-hanging fruit we see. And then just to field any questions around the funding or legality of those sort of projects with y'all. So I'm going to kick it to Alexander Burke, our education outreach specialist. He's going to talk about Adopt a Drain and the stormwater infrastructure of the city and those opportunities we saw. So go ahead.
Thanks, David. Yeah, like you said, my name is Alexander. I do education outreach for both Pacific and Grace Harbor conservation districts. Since like David mentioned, it's been a while since we've seen you all. We've been busy working in the city since then. I work with the schools. So we have a lot of programs in the schools. I've been at Hoqium High School doing presentations for the students, offering opportunities to participate in both our environmental program as well as volunteer events. Specifically, I've worked with the Native Education class out in Hoqium High School, who has been great. They've really been engaged and come to our volunteer event out in Aberdeen at the Kurt Cobain Memorial Park, where we did tree planting, and we hope to keep them involved there as well. But like David mentioned, we're here to talk to you today about the Adopt a Drain program. So essentially, this is a community engagement program. Now, the reason why we want to talk to you about this today is because this is a program that we can run with you all, or we can run if you guys don't want to support it either. There are just kind of 2 different tracks for us to get on this for. So the Adopt a Drain program is an initiative for cities that is actually nationwide. Washington is one of the states that is a part of the broader Adopt a Drain program. And cities within Washington state can register in the Adopt a Drain program, but if they don't, residents can still participate. The idea behind it is that Adopt a Drain program participants will pick a drain that they are metaphorically adopting, and they'll be responsible for cleaning that drain, keeping it free of debris, so that way when storm runoff goes into that drain, it is clean for the bay or the harbor rather, that it is draining out into. Now, like I mentioned, it's free for residents, so if you guys do not want to participate, we can still operate this program by advertising it to residents. They can choose a drain by their house or by their workplace that they can adopt, and then the Adopt a Drain organization gets tracking information from them to say, hey, how much debris did you fill or did you remove from this area? And they actually take that data and have an aggregate for their purposes. Now, the city can be involved in that as well, so that way then all of that information belongs to you all. You have then access to their GIS database of storm drains, so it kind of integrates really nicely. Now, if you guys chose to be a part of that program, having access to their program and bringing it to the community here in Hoqium does have a cost to it. They don't advertise the cost on their website, but I was able to do research and find out what similarly sized cities end up paying the Adopt a Drain program. So a similar sized city pays about 28 cents per resident, which for the city of Hoqium would come out to $2,480. Now, the Conservation District, like David mentioned, is a grant writing organization, so we would like to, if you all choose to participate in this program, participate in finding the money to fund it. I know that in the city of Aberdeen, we partner with them because they get money from the Department of Ecology for stormwater education and stormwater issues. We aren't entirely sure if you guys have the same kinds of funding. If you do, that would be great to go towards something like this. If not, there are other funding mechanisms that we can find in order to fund this. Now, in addition, we wouldn't just want to be doing the Adopt a Drain. We would have our staff, myself and my assistant, our outreach team, mobilized behind it to educate the community as to why this is important for the community here in Hoqium. For water quality, for the health of the bay or the harbor. I live down in South Bend, so I'm used to Willapa Bay, right? So that's kind of my, I always default to bay, but regardless, yeah. So like I said, no cost to residents. If you all want to participate, like I said, we can either go through funding that you all have available to you, or we can pursue funding ourselves as a grant writing organization. But I think that it would be a great opportunity for the city to get people involved. It's a really good community engagement opportunity. So I'm open to any questions that you all have. If David wants to come back up, if I missed anything that he wants to mention, that's great too. But that's kind of the gist of it. So any questions, I'm happy to field those from you all.
You're mentioning what the costs are, but it wasn't actually clear to me. What is that? Just direct expenditure, or is that going to another organization, or?
That money goes to the Adopt a Drain organization. So they're a nationwide organization, and what that what that cost basically gets you is, first of all, their database. So when you go onto the Adopt a Drain website, if you are a city that is registered with them, they will use their GIS database to map out your storm drains. So if I'm a citizen, I can just go on their website and say, hey, that drain is next to my house. I click on it, and now that one, I get to name it and adopt it. It's a little silly with that regard, but it keeps people involved, right? But in addition, they also will then track the data for you. So they do a little gentle reminder to folks who have adopted a drain. I personally have used this software so that way I can understand a little bit how it works on the user end. So they track the data as well, so that way the city then gets an idea of how much pollution or debris or whatever it might be is being collected out of those storm drains. So that data can then be used to, in our case, pursue further grant funding or whatever the city sees as valuable for that information to be used for. That's essentially what you're paying for to be a part of their program.
Yeah, so it's a combination of education and data gathering.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I just feel like we missed the most important part. I'll just say I was a guinea pig, so I adopted 2 drains outside of my house in Snapperton, albeit, but yeah, I named them, and I get alerts on my phone through an app basically to like upload photos. After it knows the weather and storm events, it's pretty slick that way, which is when debris are gonna get carried in there. But really, the goal in it is it's gonna funnel down all those citizen activities, whether they're paid for or not, into a report that someone like Tracy can take to an ecology grant and just leverage and say, hey, we have this much participation now. How do we further deal with our stormwater infrastructure? Here's an example that we are already dealing with this. It's all a leverage point, right? We're really after the bigger infrastructure dollars down the line. So that was something we promised on day one coming here, and we're just following through. And frankly, that's where it starts. It's a lot of grassroots education. But there's nothing here. If anyone in the audience heard us say a $2,500 ticket, there's nothing that we would bring to the city that we wouldn't write a grant for and pay for it too. That would be on our backs. So just want to make that clear. And if there's any other questions, shoot.
I guess my question would be for Brian. Would this come out of the general fund if we didn't have money? Where would it go from?
Well, if they didn't need a grant, like you just said, they would try to pay for it.
Right.
We would pay for it out of the stormwater utility, I would assume. Because it's specific to stormwater.
Right, and this could end up checking a box on some sort of fund or grant you all have right now that we just aren't aware of, right? So it's kind of a bit of an awkward pitch, I guess, right? But we're starting at the public level and working in that. We're available to check that box if that's what you have, or if not, bring the funding like we did for Aberdeen. And I would like to pitch last but not least, if this works out, I want a friendly competition between the 2 cities on who can get the most drains adopted. I think that's smart, it makes sense, and I think Aberdeen will win. So.
But yeah, that's why I mentioned that, is because that is what we do with Aberdeen. So I didn't mean to imply that it was you guys are footing the bill for anything, but we have that kind of relationship with Aberdeen as well, where we help them with their stormwater utility in terms of education, as well as some of the on-the-ground work for their stormwater tasks as well that they're required to do. So that's all that I was trying to apply. So thank you, David, for clearing that up for me.
Is there a process in the program to report problems with a drain, or if there's like a local spill or smaller spill? How does it interact as far as reporting is concerned?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they have an entire, so you can report as much as you want to. So the site is built such that they will, like David mentioned, kind of give you a gentle reminder to take a picture, check on your storm drain. But if you notice something is wrong, you can always do that yourself. So online, you can always go onto their Adopt a Drain website and click the reporting button, and identify which drain that you're reporting on and say what the issue is for that example. It doesn't even have to be your drain actually, so if you notice a drain in your community that has an issue, you can report it, and that actually pings to the person who is the responsible party for it. And so that's a little bit of personal accountability there, but even if it's your own drain, that also then reports, and you as the city get that reporting data. So if somebody mentions that there is an issue with their storm drain, you guys would be privy to that.
Good, okay, so that's very helpful to the city. Thank you. Any other questions?
What's the process for the next step?
So if you all chose to do that, essentially, it would probably likely be on the mayor or secretary or administrator. Somebody would essentially have to go onto their website and register, and then they would reach out to you and get information about the city of Hoq in order to give you, because what I gave you was an estimate based off of other cities. They would actually give you the actual cost of what it would be, and then you would make a decision if you wanted to pay for it or not. So that's all it would be. So if you all want to discuss it more or think about it, there's no action required from this right now. This could be something that if you all wanted to get in touch with us on, I know that Brian and I are in communication. If you all need more time to think about it, all it is just a form online that you fill out, and the Adopt a Drain folks get in touch with you. And then at that point, if you guys do choose to do it, it would be great to get that communication, because we can be the boots on the ground for you guys. So that way there's no additional work that you all have to do. It's just that you guys give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we're gonna trudge ahead. We're gonna go ahead and go forward on this one way or another. Even if you guys choose not to participate in it, we still want to offer this opportunity to residents because we think it's valuable to show people, the value of taking accountability for ourselves and keeping our community clean. So, like I said, it really is at the end of the day up to you guys at whatever timeline you decide.
So how do you get the information out to the citizens to get them wrapped around and involved in this? I mean, what's the procedure?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is exactly why I have a job. So my job is education in the schools, like I mentioned in the beginning, but also outreach. So we have a lot of different channels, whether that be through community groups on Facebook, through the newspapers. We have a great relationship with the local, with some local reporters, and we also are present at a lot of events around town as well. So we do a ton of tabling events. So it would be through any and all of those channels where we would see people. One thing that we didn't mention is, we partner with Mount Olympus Brewing in Aberdeen and are hoping to partner with other local businesses in Hoq, Aberdeen, and kind of the greater Grace Harbor area. And as we grow in partnering with all those businesses, that's another channel for us to relay this type of information as well. So we're always growing our outreach network, essentially, through whether it be written, digital, or partnerships. We're always working on that. So that would be a combination of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would we refer this to like the Public Utilities Committee or the Watershed? I don't know.
Could do that under new business later.
Yeah. What would be more appropriate?
But if we wanted to just immediately partner in a way that like citizens could adopt drains and not the city, is there anything that prevents us from just launching into that?
Absolutely not. So if you guys would like, I mean, informally, if you're like, hey, go ahead and go for it, and we'll let you know. We'll start advertising for it, and citizens can start participating. And then I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I don't know how it works if citizens participate and the city opts in after the fact. If we can get those folks kind of lumped in with all their data. But that's something I can reach out to their team on and get their feedback and let you know. But we can certainly just start marching forward on it while you guys are deciding if that's what you want to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're getting called out anyway. I heard some sort of challenge from Aberdeen.
Yeah, our resident Aberdeen guy here.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, he said he thought Aberdeen could beat us.
Well, hey, Aberdeen hasn't signed on to this program yet, so you guys could beat them to it, so you could be a leg ahead. So there you go. Did you have a question?
I was under the impression that the city had asked community members to take care of their drains.
We have
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past, especially like during the fall with leaves.
Because, well, I have my tree and my drain, so I'm always taking care of my drain.
I think that that's something that's important with this type of program as well. I think that, you know, there are oftentimes initiatives from the city to say, hey, you have a storm drain on your property, would you mind sweeping it up, right? But this kind of adds to that. You know, a lot of times in my line of work, we talk about what your point, your action point is, your focus is, what it is that is your action item, essentially. So a lot of times, the way that people work with clicking on things and everything's very instant, having something that holds them accountable, reminds them, a lot of people need that. And so this is something that will help them as well. So if they want to go in and adopt their drain, it's not something that they just click it and it goes away. It reminds them, hey, there was a storm event, time to go check out your drain, take a picture, see what it looks like. So it can aid in those efforts as well. So while that might be an expectation or something the city would like for you to do, it can be an additional tool to help them actually get that done or encourage people to get that done. For example, a gentle nudge might.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I want to apologize that we missed the first time we were supposed to be here. We had a little bit of internal miscommunication, so I appreciate you guys having us back, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Right, this point during the meeting is time for anyone wishing to speak before the council in relation to items that are on the agenda tonight to do so. Is there anyone here that would like to discuss agenda items? Did we receive any written communication regarding agenda items? Okay, if there's none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda A. Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries. We'll move on to 5D officers' reports.
Okay, authorization to purchase supplies for the deferred maintenance grant. Staff request that council authorize the staff to proceed with purchasing the mulch and safety netting with funding provided through the local parks deferred maintenance grant.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept this first.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? This is related to the $100,000 grant that was received by the city.
I'm not sure what's the safety netting.
If you were down at Central Play Park, there is a tall structure that kids can climb up. It's kind of like a merry-go-round. Replaces all the stuff that they climb on. All the rope is missing, and now they're on bare cable.
Any other discussion? This is regarding the mulch officer's report. Right, if none, all those in favor of accepting the officer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, purchase of equipment for the deferred maintenance grant. Staff request the council approve the purchase of the equipment listed above in the report.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the second report.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion regarding this second report on equipment?
I just appreciate all the effort that went into working with the Recreation Conservation Funding Board to help us get this stuff, take care of this deferred maintenance, help keep our parks in good shape.
Definitely looks good, and it's nice to not have to pay out of the back pocket of some of our citizens.
Would this gator be going up at the cemetery, or would it be more for
Parks. It's parks deferred maintenance, so primarily for park facilities, not cemetery. But we can use it either one.
You know, we have a great habit of being able to adapt as we need to. Yeah,
We better.
but it is, yeah.
But mainly we'll be using this to drag the fields at the baseball field.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was wondering.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries. Mayor's report, I am interested in hearing from the community if there are any additional people interested in helping serve by volunteering on the Urban Forestry Committee. I'm still working to identify 2 more members of the advisory task committee or committee that I put together as an ad hoc committee regarding the downtown revitalization and Olympic Stadium revitalization. So, keep in mind that as soon as the last couple of members get added to that group, that we'll want to send tasks to them seeking particular types of advice. I know some of the current couple of members have met with Brian already and kind of brought in some projects and ideas that could be easily tied into that project, and working with some developers to look at some of our older properties and how we might work with them to get them developed, in particular after the levy is certified. I think we're gonna have a lot of change. Keep that in mind as council members and when you're talking to constituents that we have a plan that we're hopefully taking some steps on soon. Once that advisory or task force is in place, I hope that they'll be able to come to each meeting with a step, whether it's a baby step or a big step, but a recommendation at every meeting would be my expectations. So hopefully that will work out. For those of you who were interested in trying to identify locations of the ambulance rate studies or availability studies, those are all on the website and should be easy to find. If you have any trouble finding them, you can continue to contact us here at City Hall, but much easier to find than the old website, but still a challenge for some. So if you can't find it, just say so. We can print you out a color copy. I would like to, regarding some other communication that we received, and we had some people here speaking at previous meetings about the Broadway and some of the safety issues there. I would like to encourage the council members later in the meeting to send a proposal or request to have the Public Safety Committee look at a speed limit change. The request was kind of directed at trucks, but I think for enforcement purposes it would be the same for everyone. But our speed limits are set by ordinance in most cases, if they're not a default, and we should look at that. I know that Brian's been talking about getting some new lines and or, I don't know if you call them turtle bump reflectors or whatever, but to remark Broadway. But I'd like to have the Public Safety Committee consider a speed limit change out there, at least until we've finished this project, which has been drawn out for many years, as you all know. The funding being on the horizon is a good sign, and so hopefully we can do that in the meantime. People have asked quite a few times where we put our public information from the city of Hoquiam, and so many cities have rules as far as policies that are set by their council where information is contained. And so it's important to know that public postings are generally available and made in City Hall down in the lobby. When we were closed for COVID, everybody was experimenting with how to get information out to people, and so oftentimes we relied on Facebook and social media platforms, which are not official. We might call it the City of Hoquiam's official Facebook page. There's really, to what I can tell, not such a thing. But what there is when you have a city website or government website, those websites are official websites. And so public notices are put into the legal publications. For us, it's the Daily World. We used to have the Vidette as well. Now there's one in-county publication. And so that's where our legal publications go. As far as notices about when our meetings are, committee meetings, if members of our community want to know about special meetings, of course, those are generally put out through advertising or listening at a council meeting. If it requires a legal publication, it will be in the newspaper. Our council meetings have, for at least 15 years, have always been 7 p.m. on the second and fourth Mondays of every month. The exceptions to that is when they are canceled or moved for various reasons, generally holidays. So as council members, if people are asking when is the meeting, where can we find out about it? It's always on this official government website. And you know, if there's something that you want to share in addition to that, or encourage people to come to the meetings, please do that. But it's going to be the second and fourth Monday unless something else changes. If it's a special meeting, that has not happened very much in recent years, but if there's a reason for that, that publication goes out to the appropriate channels. I would also encourage the council members to participate in this program that we were just had a presentation from the Grace Harbor Conservation District, and one of the reasons for that is that it seems to incorporate some technology that will help our citizens communicate with us at City Hall. We have fewer and fewer staff who are available to go out and clear, and as you all know, when there's a storm, especially if there's a lot of ice and leaves, those things get plugged, and we rely on our citizens to help because we only have so many people that are able to go out and hit all of those on the same day or 2 days. I like the idea that it will allow basically communication to come back to City Hall, like, hey, this thing's got a problem, but also it encourages our citizens to participate in helping us all take care of our communities and those drains. So like they said, you know, it seems sort of silly to be able to name your drain and stuff, but I think we could have a lot of fun with that, and I hope that citizens will participate. And along those same lines, you may have seen there are some cities that have recently put together cleanup kits that you can, as a citizen, go down and get a kit that basically has one of the pickers for garbage, a garbage bag, some general reminders about, you know, staying off of private property, but being able to pick up garbage that's littered in public right-of-ways or public places. And so I would like to encourage the council to maybe bring a motion to have us look into providing something like that. I know even the library has had programs in the past where you could participate in checking out equipment to go to cleanups. So because it's kind of in the same vein, I would like to have our staff kind of put together a proposal, and I'd like to see a motion to work with the Grace Harbor Conservation District on putting together both of those things. And thank council members and staff for putting in a little bit of extra work the last few weeks. There have been a lot of questions and a lot of outreach to citizens addressing rate changes, and I know, you know, for a lot of us that's time out of your paying job that you need to come in to City Hall and communicate, and that's a really important part of all of our jobs, and so I appreciate that, and administrators who were able to put together additional information so that I can better answer questions when somebody says, hey Mayor, what's going on with this? It's important that they get good information. So continue with that. With the questions are good, so long as we're all staying civil, and so far it hasn't been too bad. So I'm going to move away from mayor's reports and ask if there are any council reports.
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
I want to congratulate Hoq High School for their wonderful production of The Addams Family, returning to 7th Street Theater this last weekend. I think they put on 5 shows.
It was
Wonderful
great.
show. It was fun. I saw the mayor there. I'm sure lots of folks took in some of the other performances. And it takes a lot of people to put on those shows. It was great that they got back to 7th Street. So it was everything from, you know, the actors you see on stage, lots of stage hands working backstage, getting all that stuff flying in and out, and keeping all the ropes running and all that, to the shot classes, building a lot of those big set pieces and all that. And it was a wonderful show. Frankly, just a lot of fun. So.
It was fun. Thank you for the reminder. My daughter was in a couple different roles depending on which show it was, and I guess there were a number of them that shared roles, and so it really meant that you had to learn 2 different pieces of every one of those plays. I don't know how they did it, but it was pretty fun.
They did great.
Really good production. Thanks for the reminder. I forgot about it. Any other council reports? All right, if there are none, we'll move on to 6C, other legal.
Okay, first we have right-of-way procedures, and this is just to ensure compliance with federal and state laws, regulations, policies, and procedures, and this is from Washington.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the signing of this agreement with Washington State Department of Transportation.
Motion support. Any discussion?
No, just double check. I think the right one was in there as well as the wrong one, but this is.
Yeah, the packet had, the city of Bremerton's approved plan by WashDOT, and then Hopeland's, which was identical. The only difference between the one that's in the packet and the one, that I handed out tonight is that the first sentence that says the city of Hopeland, not just Hopeland. And this is something that we require on projects that have federal funding like Broadway. Broadway requires us to, get some easements for the project, and that to DOT, that's considered right-of-way, even if we're just getting an easement, and you have to have an adopted right-of-way procedures plan that meets their local agency guidelines. So we did one of these about 10 years ago. They've updated the lag rules, so we had to update our policy. Basically, we would hire a consultant that's certified to do right-of-way purchasing for that type of project.
Any other discussion? Questions for Brian? If there are none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion carries.
Okay, next we have an amendment for engineering services with HDR Engineering. And this amendment agreement is in order for HDR to perform services beyond those previously agreed upon.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept this amendment.
Motion support to accept the amendment. Any discussion? Brian, could you tell us what it's generally related to?
Yes, so this would be all the inspection management and project management during the construction of the new pump station that's going in over by the police station. Quig Brothers Construction was awarded the contract. They're gonna start by April 1st, so this would be all the inspection services during the construction of the project. They've never been under contract for that at this point in time.
So that one by the police station is 10th Street, so the one over here is K?
K is under design.
Okay. Because 10th goes back there too, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear on which one that is.
And Quig is the one that completed the project, the new pump station in Anderson, right?
Yes, and on Raymer as well.
All right. Any other discussion?
I have a question. This is amendment 1 to agreement for engineering services is what we're talking about, right? I couldn't help noticing that the original not to exceed amount exceeds the not to exceed amount by $31,699. And I was always under the impression in other forms of my life that if you going beyond an exceed amount, that you need that. But
Well, the 31,000 is what they're adding to the previous contract for the inspection services. So
which was a do not exceed amount that the city and HDR agreed to.
Yeah, well, they're under, the cost that they had previously to do the design, they came in under on that. To do the inspection services, they're adding $31,000 to the not to exceed amount to do all the inspection services. So the net increase for the additional work is 31,000.
So it's for a different service
Yeah,
than what they did before.
this was
It's
not
two
agreed
different.
for them to do before.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just funny that it's lumped into the original do not exceed.
Gotcha, yeah.
It would like be, I don't know, the wording kind of conflicted in my brain.
Yeah, it's actually more than 31,000 to do all the inspection services,
Yeah.
but it's $31,000 more than the original contract was.
Okay, and this, this agreement was entered into 2 years ago, November of 2021. Okay, that's just my question.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Good clarifying. I mean, I get what you're saying, yeah.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, next we have an interagency reimbursement agreement with the Washington State Administrative Office of the Courts and Hoq Municipal Court, and this is for reimbursement for any blank cases.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve this agreement with the AOC.
Support. Motion support. Steve, could you give us a general understanding what the blank case is?
As most of you will recall, there was a case that we call the Blake case, where our Supreme Court ruled that the statutes prohibiting controlled substances or the possession of controlled substances were unconstitutional because they did not require the mental state of knowingly possessing. So for a couple of years at least, it was virtually legal to possess controlled substances. Now it's a gross misdemeanor, but during that time, there were several people that were convicted of possession of controlled substances in the past that were going back to court and making motions to vacate their convictions. And those were pretty much granted by the courts. And when they were, the people got their fines back if they paid them, which in a lot of cases the people never paid the fine. But at any rate, this is a grant that the administrator of the courts is awarding to the city if the council accepts it, to pay back anybody who does come to court and move to vacate their convictions. And in our case, it would be possession of marijuana primarily and possession of drug paraphernalia, because we didn't really have the power to, or we didn't have the jurisdiction over other controlled substances. And so far we haven't had any motions to vacate, but in the event that we do, this would allow us to get reimbursed if we should have to pay back any fines.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on the motion?
Steve, so this is just a grant up to that 48,000?
Mm-hmm. And it would be on a reimbursement basis.
And the rules are pretty clear in here on what you have to submit. Okay. Thank you.
Steve, pretty much all municipalities are going through this process.
Yeah, even Cosmopolis, and they haven't had any motion to vacate either, but they were offered a grant for a lot less money because of the population.
Any other discussion?
So if somebody had one of these charges and is going through drug court or one of these things, now, would these just now be dropped for those people from the dockets, or if that's on their record, how would they,
No, they'd have to make a motion to vacate their conviction.
they would have to make a motion, that's okay.
Also has to do with when they were convicted, you know, cause he's talking about, you know, like there's a period in time and stuff like that. They passed 5536 in like, what, May or something like that, with a special session this last year to put it back in, but this is, you know, being municipal, this is all misdemeanors and stuff like that, like no, there, you know, we don't do felonies at the city level and stuff like that, so
Right.
that's where it's all fines and stuff.
Yeah, if you're talking about a felony, the fines were a lot more, they were like 2,000 or 3,000.
And those weren't going through the
Yeah.
municipal.
Right.
Yeah, that was all in Superior Court.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries.
Okay. Next, we have an agreement with the Washington State Military Department. It's for the All Hazards Alert Broadcast Siren, which is for the sirens that we already have.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the signing of this agreement with the military department.
Motion support to maintain the sirens on this contract. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Is this just to maintain the sirens the way they are, or would it increase the volume of the sirens? Cause I know some of them you can't hear when you're in an office setting.
When, believe it or not, when these sirens went in, there was no formal agreement that specified out that the state was required to provide the maintenance on these and repairs, and so this basically just specifies out that who's responsible for what. We should have had one of these in place a long time ago, or they should have with the different agencies. And it also includes if we needed a siren to be moved, and we will actually, when we do the Queen Avenue Pump Station project, we need to move the siren, it would be moved at their expense. So this agreement just lays out who's responsible. We are only responsible for batteries, and then in the alarms.
Well, the last time I heard it, at the beginning of this month, it was the first time I'd heard the Spanish language notification.
Can we run the batteries off a Tesla or plug in one of those Fords or something?
I don't know. That knows how to change.
Here's little batteries. Can we address their comment about the volume?
Yeah.
So, those are not meant to be heard inside specifically. Those are meant to be heard out here. Theory being if you're inside, you have a radio, or you should get the alerts on your personal phone, or in your business, they should get the alerts. So if you're inside, that's how you should be alerted. Those are meant to catch people outside, in general. Granted, you can hear them inside, but that's not the real issue.
Well, my house is right next to one, so I don't have any.
Perfect.
Right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, next we have the RCO grant amendment, and this is to add in the North Shore Levy final design for $879,000.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept this amendment.
Support. Motion support to accept the amendment. Brian, can you inform us on that?
So the council did an amendment with HDR Engineering in August to pay for this scope of work, which is actually the design around the Aberdeen wastewater treatment plant, because we had been awarded the funding to do the design, but it's taken this long for the state to put the amendment together to fund it. We're eligible for reimbursement back to August when we gave HDR the green light to start. So this is just a grant agreement that covers that design expense. And even though that segment is in Aberdeen, HDR is working for us, or under contract for us to do the full design regardless of what city it's in. So that the money's going to open for the design in Aberdeen.
So, Brian, I know that recently Aberdeen went toward the Fry Creek Station and all that. Is there any plans that we'll be able to get access and see that?
Oh yeah, if we'd like to do a tour, I'm sure we could, and there'll be a formal ribbon cutting ceremony sometime probably in the fall.
Better weather.
Okay. Better than the groundbreaking ceremony for sure.
Yeah, we called in that rain,
Yeah.
perfect for that.
But it's really coming along. If anybody would like to see any photos, I have some amazing photos of the project.
Brian, adding the Aberdeen wastewater treatment plant to the North Shore Levy East segment, how far is that pushing back? Getting
the schedule at all. That is a very small segmented design, so that'll be designed just as fast as the whole levee alignment.
My understanding was that the Hoqua, the west side, was further along than the east side, and so groundbreaking and completion would be ahead of the east side. Is that still true?
Yeah, I would estimate that the west is probably a year ahead of the North Shore levee, and a big factor of that is permitting. The west levee hit 90% design, formal 90% design in December. We've already applied for the majority of our permits, and so they say to go through NEPA takes 2 to 3 years, the National Environmental Policy Act permitting process, and we're just now starting NEPA on the North Shore levee. So if I were to estimate today, I think you'll see the North Shore levee west under construction in 2 years, and the North Shore probably in 3.
So, with the Hoqua, the west end completed first, will that get the FEMA inspection, or are they gonna wait until the entire project is completed before FEMA
They're
comes in?
two distinctly separate projects, so once either segment is fully constructed, then we will apply for a letter of map revision with FEMA. They'll come out and do a formal inspection. So basically, from the time the construction's done, it probably takes 6 months to get FEMA to come in and certify the levee. And then that's when they will change the maps and the flood insurance requirements
That's
go
gonna
away.
cause a lot of hate and discontent with the people on the east side of Hoqua not getting that raindrop that the west side's gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell
Everybody
you,
grab a shovel and start helping.
Well, with the way inflation has been, I mean, the sooner we can get anything to construction, we want to do it.
Well,
Okay.
I for one, I think we all know how important this work is, just for the vitality of our city and making this more livable. So I appreciate all the work that you do and that team, so.
And believe me, we're pushing to get the permitting done as fast as we can. We might be asking all of you to call your congressman or U.S. senator to, make some phone calls on our behalf if it doesn't move as fast as we want it to.
I'll be the first one.
2.2 million a year in insurance premiums.
That was 2014.
Yeah, it's way more than that now. Yeah.
Before I took Brian's advice and looked into changing my flood insurance rates before I sold my house off, I think I was up to $12,000 a year. I was giving the bills to Brian, and that was $12,000 a year that was payable in a lump sum. You couldn't pay it in installments.
You have to pay it all at once.
And I live across the street from the stadium, and my house, in the several floods we've had on Queens, my house hasn't flooded. But the water goes up that high, but I'm on a little hill. So that's quite the big lump sum that people on Queens have to pay every year.
Not just Queens.
Yeah.
Yes, but I've only lived on
Yes.
Queens.
Most of our citizens have to pay it. Yeah. It'll dramatically change how we all live,
Yeah, now I pay $600.
which is better, but still a lot. All right. We have not yet voted on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries. Any old business, unfinished business?
I have a question. I think this kind of goes, we talked about our zoning plan and all of that. Did we look into that at all, Brian, about looking at our zoning maps for the city? Because we talked about that. Has there been any talk or proposal for that?
No, I don't know if there was a formal recommendation to the planning commission or not. I can't recall. Do you know, Tracy?
You wanna bring a motion on that?
I also thought that was in the works.
I thought we had sent that. Maybe, but it might have been when we were bringing on new members, so.
Did send it to me.
Okay. Yeah, if we could follow up on that
Okay.
and see where that's going, cause I thought we sent it to them.
I think it would benefit the city greatly to have the zoning address.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while.
I remember them discussing
Yeah.
the planning commission meeting, and they actually wanted, some help.
Yeah, I think that we were even talking about what would the cost be to hire a consultant to, cause I don't think we can expect the commission to just do that on their own, that's a lot of work.
Well, the skill set's
Yeah.
pretty specific.
Intense, yeah.
All right, so Brian, you're gonna.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. Okay. Any other old business, unfinished business? Go ahead.
Can you tell me what's happening with the laning on Riverside?
There was a recommendation by the Public Safety Committee that went to the council, recommending that we make changes at, by the farmer's market to put some lighted signs there.
Yeah, I was at that meeting, but, is this something you would have to send to the, Washington DOT?
Well, DOT has said that they would pay for the striping work, but we would need to pay for the, signs. And through our, insurance company, they have a, what would you call it? What's that grant that WCA has? But basically, there's a grant that we can apply for through WCA, risk reduction grant. It's due in like a month, so I'm gonna actually apply for those signs to that grant. And if we get them, then the grant will cover it. If not, we could definitely pay for that with city funds.
Well-
And then DOT, they would do the striping like this summer. We would do the sign installation.
Well, I was wondering if you'd ever, I don't know if it's the right place to ask, if you had ever thought about getting rid of the turn lane as far east as it is and making it only half a block, because since I've been driving that lane for the last 2 years, I'm still seeing a lot of cars speeding down that lane and then cutting in front of the middle lane. And I've noticed how many cars, homes that live on Riverside have nowhere to park except their driveways. So I thought if that could be turned into a parking lane most of the way down the Riverside, then maybe that could also help in reducing speed.
They don't wanna make a parking.
Yeah, we discussed that.
You don't wanna make a
No,
parking?
they don't want parking.
We addressed that in the public safety meeting, and, I think our recommendation to DOT was to reduce the length of that
Right.
turn lane to kind of mitigate the people who use that as a bypass, especially during tourist season. The locals will use it to get around the RVs, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the plan is to reduce that third lane.
Instead of like one turn lane for the whole lane,
Yeah.
wasn't it? There was like
Like
3 or 4
hash
or
marks
whatever.
with
It was like,
in-turn.
go a couple blocks and then turn, go a
Yeah.
couple blocks and turn, so you can't just race down that entire.
Oh, no, they do though, they do.
No, but this proposal was
Oh,
to,
okay.
that if you want to get in that lane, that's fine, but you're turning down that, like, almost.
Each street.
Yeah, each street.
Yeah.
So,
Brian, could we get, there must be a diagram of something that DOT has looked at. Can we get that
Yeah.
on the website?
What you're asking for, you might have been on the council at the time, so we'll get that. to you.
Right, it was before I got on the
Yeah,
council.
Yeah, and if we can, just upload it on the city webpage too, so
okay.
people can look at it. Good questions. Okay, any other old or unfinished business?
Just, old business, was thinking about this, getting it up on the website and all that. Have we made progress on the website, bringing it up to speed?
It's better, but not good.
I
But
checked
we're getting
like
there.
4 days ago, and I
Yeah,
was-
we're getting there.
So if you, again, I've said this several times, if you identify something with the website that needs to be updated, please let me know specifically what it is that's missing.
Well, I
Because
did
if
it
you
in
don't
the city
sit,
council meeting, it should be in the minutes, where there's committees and.
yeah, so we're waiting for the chairs to actually be nominated in each committee, and so once there's an official chair, then it'll be uploaded.
Awesome.
But they are included in the minutes
Yeah,
from our
so no,
last
yours
meeting.
is noted, and we just have to wait for that process to be completed.
Yeah, makes sense.
And there are a few staff members that went through training, but right now, Corey is primarily assisting us with getting stuff in there, so, future, hopefully we'll have a couple of other people that are trained and able to do it quickly. That's the plan anyway.
And you can now get our municipal code online again. It's not as user friendly as it's going to be in about 6 weeks, but there's a PDF file of our old municipal code, so the whole thing is available on one click.
Well, that was a link in your email, right?
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
On our last retreat, we recommended that we hire a grant writer to facilitate the area development. I was wondering what the status was on that.
I don't know that there was ever a council recommendation, although there was a good discussion about it at the council retreat, so.
I think we asked for options and stuff like that, because I don't think we actually nailed it down specific.
So you're asking staff to get some ideas on the grant writing position?
So moved.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that one? Steve?
Yeah, probably.
I think it was like a grant writing, like, project.
Community
manager.
development.
Yeah.
You want to request for proposals? Is it?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for proposals for that position.
Options to come from council?
Yes.
Support.
Okay, there's motion and support to get a request for proposals to come to the council regarding.
Can I clarify, we're not putting out a bid for RFP,
Yeah.
we're asking for proposals from staff.
Yeah, like what it would look like, the
Yes,
cost.
I just wanted to clarify, as soon as we start saying request for proposal, that takes a different turn. I wanted to make sure we're not saying that we're putting out an RFP for contractors.
Additional discussion on this motion?
Yeah, I would ask when they put that proposal that have the option of, having, somebody that's not a full-time employee, maybe a service, somebody that does that on the side.
Somebody has a
What we're
skill set
paying
for it
for
that's already
just
working.
when we need it, rather than just creating a new full-time position.
That'd be a contractor.
That's what I'm saying, like contract it out.
Okay.
Just put that option in there, like if it makes sense, yeah.
Right, any other discussion? Right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, the motion carries. Be good, thank you for that action step. Any other old unfinished business? Any new business?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose that we send the Adopt a Drain program to the Utilities Committee. Kinda come up with ideas on what the funding would look like, or how we would ask them to do it. Or maybe have, the gentleman from, conservation program, whatever, have them, come and give us different ideas, so we could propose a plan, cause I do wanna move forward on it, I think it's a great idea, but, I think we need to look at what's the best option.
Okay, so is your motion to, ask the Public Utilities Committee to consider adopting the Adopt a Drain program?
Yeah, to give us options on what's the best way to proceed on it.
Okay. There's a support in that motion. Any other discussion? I kind of felt like, they offered, to either support it, or pursue covering all of it in a grant.
I think that's our best option.
Sounds like they're available to answer any questions if you need to. Okay, so the motion is to send that to the Public Utilities Committee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Right, any other new business?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call a public utilities meeting for the first meeting in March, which I believe is March 11th. if we do it next month, there's too many, contradictions with other meetings, so.
Okay. So March 11th.
6 p.m.
Okay, and location?
Mayor's office.
Okay.
People on that committee that are also on public safety.
Can you get, one of those two gentlemen to come to that meeting?
Definitely can ask.
Did that work? So mayor's office on March 11th at 6 p.m. Okay, thank you. And then at that meeting, you'll also make sure that you establish your chair.
Yes.
Right? Any other new business?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to set a public safety meeting, also on March 11th. We'll do it here in committee chambers, but at 5 o'clock. There's a council member that's on both committees, so we'll do it at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed attending the public safety meeting tonight, and one of the discussions that didn't require council action, but that I wanted to mention was just the discussion that you had about an intersection that we've all been looking at for really years over by McDonald's and on Sumner. So it sounds like there's some baby steps that we're gonna take, and I know people in our community often ask, what can we do? And we run into that responsibility list, you know, so it's a DOT kind of thing, but it's also in the city, and then there's school bus stops there, so thank you for bringing that to the Public Safety Committee's attention again. And it sounds like we're gonna have some baby steps to start working on.
Can I ask what the problem is with that intersection?
Just people getting hit.
In the crosswalk?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
There's a crosswalk between McDonald's
Yes.
and that mini mart there.
Lost a few people over the years, but there's very regular collisions
I
there.
thought that might be.
Yeah.
On Sumner.
It's
Oh,
dark.
Yeah, because Fairway parks its trucks right there against the.
Well, there's lots of reasons that it's not safe, but we'll have to work with everybody on trying to fix them.
We might
Okay.
have to do, I mean, that's an expensive solution, but it might have to look a little bit more like some there.
Yeah, there's been discussion about it before, but I just wanted to point out that you are talking about it and taking some action, so I hope it makes it a little safer. Appreciate that.
Is it something, Brian, we could use that risk mitigation grant thing that our insurance offers to cover that Sumner and McDonald's thing too?
Well, the grant awards generally are about 15 to 25,000. So just the signs there at Riverside kind of take up the full grant amount if we were to get it. But a good question would be if ARPA funds could go towards that, because we probably will have some funds available to spend by the end of the year, so we can look at that.
I will tell you, the sooner we can spend those ARPA funds, the happier the state will be.
Yeah.
So,
We're not losing them.
Right. Thank you. Any other new business? There's no executive session tonight. This is the time for anyone wishing to speak before the council to do so. Did we receive any written comments?
We did, we received one from Robin Emery at 911 Broadway. And again, council has asked that these are just summarized, so she has two items. One is the ambulance, so the comment has been provided to all council members. Item one is the ambulance fee be divided equally into 3 years of payments instead of the both being collected in just 2024. And number two is temporarily dropping the semi-truck speed limit from 16th Street through Broadway area of road failure.
Okay.
And?
All right, we received that communication. It sounds like we're gonna take some action towards reviewing that, so.
No other public comment.
Okay. Anyone else wish to be heard tonight? If so, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
My name's Tim Spradlin. I live at 177 US Highway 101, Oakland. So, off your particular website, I downloaded the memorandum for the ambulance study that you have, and in the back of that, there are some district charges that they use to establish some of the rates for the city fire districts. There's about 9 of them listed there. I should say 7 of them listed there, and there are inconsistencies within on page 1 of that, and page 2, there's inconsistencies in the number of incidents that were in the report directed us to, of which I just state Fire District 6 shows that they had 115 calls that particular year, and their call volume was 71 or 72 calls that particular year. And there was also a reference in there regarding Fire District 6 contract with the city, and I believe it was the fire contract that they're confusing potential revenue sources from versus the ambulance contract, because we don't have a particular ambulance contract that we would have to pay near $70,000 for ambulance services for. That's like over twice what we've ever paid in the past. So I don't know whose responsibility this fire contract and the charges should be addressed to. The last thing I would like to talk basically to you about is on page 3 of that report, it shows that under item 1, it's the conclusion of that particular portion of it was not recommended by the person that did the study, and in option number 2, the city should be able to note that the person that also did this stated it was unable to calculate the need, and they would need the number of outside building units by the district to prepare it, and so they also advised against it. And the only part of this memorandum that had any notation to it was the third fee, which was the $590 that they're asking to have those 6 districts pay for ambulance service in this coming year. So whoever could possibly address that to me, I'd like it. I'd like to have some questions answered.
Okay. We won't answer questions tonight, but bringing it to our attention is the right way to do it, so.
Okay.
We'll try and get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else have public comment? Again, just a reminder, state your name, address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
My name is Priya Lindy, and I work for Grace Harbor County Public Health at 2109 Sumner Avenue in Abilene. Yet again, I come here and I just think that it's an amazing opportunity for citizens and community members to come and listen to local government, and I'm astounded because, just it's not frequent for me. I love to you guys discuss community needs. I appreciate that you posed the question, Mr. Mayor, what can we do, right? And that you guys look at measurable steps to meet a goal. So that way, Hoq can be successful, and in turn, Grace Harbor County can be successful. I'm just coming to inform you about an upcoming event that the Grace Harbor County Coalitions are putting on in collaboration with ESD 113 and with Healthcare Authority and Grace Harbor County Public Health. It's addressing fentanyl awareness, which is, definitely a hot topic, a sensitive topic, but one that I think we all need to kind of be aware of. And if you remember last time I came up and rambled, I was a public educator in Anchorage School District for 15 years. And the stories that I've heard in the past month about fentanyl and how students are getting access to it, the stories of lives lost, young lives lost because of accidents, misunderstandings. Parents need to they need to know. They need to know what it looks like. They need to know what the dangers are. They need to know how it's preventable, how overdoses are preventable. And so HCA has created a campaign called Friends for Life. And it is all about fentanyl awareness. It's about explaining the dangers. It's about understanding what naloxone is. So I have some flyers that I can leave here today. And in addition, the community survey that was conducted, there was 147 community surveys that were given back, and the data was analyzed, and there was a couple of questions that really stood out. One of which was, how much do you think youth, 6th through 12th grade, risk harming themselves if they use prescription drugs that are not prescribed to them? And out of the 147, 101 people mentioned that it was a high risk. Right? So people here know that prescription medication is a high risk. Pills, right, are a high risk. So it goes back to what can we do? And just this one event, it's a one and done, but at least it gets the word out there. So thank you for your time, and I will leave this somewhere.
Can you tell us again what the date was? Maybe I missed it.
It's February 21st.
Okay.
So it's next Wednesday. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Trying to get Hoq School District to approve the flyer so it can go to all of the students. Talk to Therapeutic Court, got it posted there. Trying to get connections in Montesano to get it to all their families. I'm trying to get information about how to contact President Grace Harbor College so that way they can get it to their student list. Just trying to get the word out.
What's the location?
It's at Aberdeen High School, and again, it's in collaboration. Thank you for asking all the right questions. It's in collaboration with Elevate East County, which is a coalition in Alma, Harbor Strong, coalition in Aberdeen, and your coalition in my town. Any other questions?
Will you have the information available on the county website for those who can't go to the workshop but are interested in the information?
That's another great question. So the brochures and things like that are probably going to be in person.
This wasn't a question
Because
and
it's
answer
through a
period.
separate campaign. We're going to order the brochures both in English and Spanish, and this will be offered in English and Spanish, just to let you guys know that, to tell your constituents. It's not going to be recorded. However, I can check with the campaign people and see if we can upload the presentation. We just got our new communications director. She's just kind of getting on board at Public Health, so let's see what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard during this public comment period? Please state your name and address for the record.
Jessie Toscano, 505 Cleveland, Main Street. Just a quick question. I know we have the meetings available through Zoom link. I was wondering, just for understanding and clarification, if we record the meetings, and if we do, where would they be posted publicly after the meetings, take place?
Okay.
You don't have to answer that now.
Yeah, we try not to answer inquiries during public comment, but we'll make sure that that information is made available. I would imagine there's plenty of answers right after the meeting. Any other public comment? All right. If there are none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.